Hello and welcome to part 2 of my Python video tutorial. Once again, I do apologise for the watermark up there. I do apologise for the 10-minute limit, so you have to be quite quick. Today we're going to be covering logic with Python and a teeny bit of syntax. We will be using AND, OR and NOT to add more logic to our if statements. Okay, so as you can see here, we're creating some variables that we can use in our statements, and we do. And I'm going to start off by commenting out all of this code so we don't get confused by it later on. Obviously you won't be commenting out this code when you're actually running it. I'll be uncommenting out as we go. This is an AND statement, and similar to an AND gate, it requires both statements to be correct. If we run this code, we can see that I'll print hello world with AND, because both number 1, which is equal to 1, and number 2, which is equal to 2, are less than 5. However, if we change it to greater than number 2 to greater than 5, which it isn't, we will not get any output, as you can see. Let's get back to how it was. Now, next we're going to be looking at OR statements. OR statements require one of the conditions to be true. For example, when we run this, only one of the conditions is true, because number 1 is less than 5, but number 3, let's change this to number 2 just for the purpose of this, but number 3 is not equal to number 2. And when we run this, as you can see, what's invalid about that? Annoying thing being annoying. Okay, we're going to have to uncomment out this code, sorry guys. Okay, so it should say hello world with OR, unless it really decides to annoy me. Okay, so as you can see, it said hello world with OR, even though only one of our conditions is true, this one. But if we change it to none of the conditions being true, so number 1 is less than 0, now we will find that none of the conditions run, that it doesn't run, hello world with OR doesn't run. Okay, now onto is not statements. Now, is not statements are quite useful. However, you can also express them with like this. I will do this in the comment, like that. That's another way you can express them, but I prefer is not, because it's a bit more like pseudocode. So, if number 1 is not equal to number 3, that's basically what this code is saying. Very straightforward. When we run the code, we get hello world with not. However, if we make number 1 is not equal to number 3, if we change this to number 3, now we will not get hello world with not. Okay, now I'm going to be commenting all of this code out now, because we don't need it for now. Okay, so next we'll be covering some syntax. I feel a lot of beginners to Python automatically assume the classic JavaScript or C# or any other program or most other programming languages syntax. In Python, after every multi-line code, so like if or functions, which we're going to learn about next episode, or loops, you need a colon, as you can see here, and all the code afterwards has to be indented. Otherwise, it's not going to be run. So as you can see here, we get I am in the statement and I'm out of the statement. But you're probably thinking, well, yes, the statement's true. How do we know? Well, if we change the statement to false, now I am out of the statement. Only I'm out of the statement once. All we need to do is to indent it. I need to change this to true again, but all we need to do is to indent it. That's pretty cool, to make sure it stays in the code. And you're probably thinking, okay, so I could have a piece of indented code right at the bottom of my program and it would still run. I doubt it. let's just do a quick test. In the comment section below, post what you think will happen when we do this. Now, I'm not sure, but I reckon it'll say invalid syntax, but do whatever you want, really. Hello. As you can see, it says unexpected indent. So any code that you have in between, so all your indents have to be in blocks. So any code that isn't indented has to be after all the indented code. And this also applies if we put an else statement down here. Any code after the else statement that's indented before the next non-indented line of code will be in the else statement, not the if statement. I know that didn't make much sense. I know that might have been a bit confusing to understand. Basically, if you like, imagine an imaginary pair of curly braces here. And you know these curly braces, sadly, as you can see, we can't use curly braces. That would be really excellent. But as you can see, we can't use curly braces because it says invalid syntax. But you can imagine a pair of curly braces, and a pair of curly braces only apply to the indented code. And the second any code goes in between, the curly braces will end there. So curly braces are basically the direct. So you can kind of treat it as though all your indented code has to be in a block together. Most, I'm not saying all, but I think almost all multi-line statements end in a colon. And most importantly, the second you put an unindented piece of code in between two pieces of indented code, the statement ends. Okay, that's pretty cool. To summarise, AND requires both statements to be correct, OR requires one statement and is not test equality. If they are not equal to each other, it will run the statement. All multi-line code must have a colon, then an indented block. All code in the indented block after the colon will be run. Any code non-indented that goes in between the indented block will mean that any code afterwards that's indented is no longer going to be in the statement, and you will get an error saying unexpected indent. Thank you for watching this video. If you would like to see some C# videos, or some JavaScript videos, or perhaps some HTML and CSS videos, please just ask. I'll do my very best to make them as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.